It's quite a large bacterium and it's rod-shaped, and it's got this little thing sticking out on the side, like it's got like a little nodule or like a bump or a tail almost. And I find this very fascinating. So I'm not sure if it is a bacterium. It is quite big. But here, so I'm just focusing on it now, it's sort of that greenish thing in the middle, this rod-shaped, elongated, probably about 2 micrometers in size if you compare it to some of the bacteria around it. Just comparing them to all the other bacteria that are in the sample. So all the little dots you see popping around of different shapes that are round and sort of demarcated, they're all bacteria. So in this sample I'm not seeing many fungi, a high few of fungi in there, so I'm not really that convinced that it's a healthy soil sample. Yeah, so lots of bacteria, that's about it. Lots of bacteria, which is good to have bacteria, but we also want some fungi to balance this. There's a Testate amoeba just here in the middle. Yeah, so not phenomenal at all. And hence, you know, this would probably explain why weeds are taking over the place as well. Because you want that nice fungal community, you want that balance in the soil of all the decomposers and predators, really, basically. This is the sugar-treated sample where the weeds were, and I just noticed a little, I'm not sure if it was a ciliate or a flagellate, zooming by really rapidly. I don't know if I'll find him again. But once again, just loads of bacteria, really. And of course you'd expect that, especially with the sugar treatment, you'd just be feeding your all bacteria and excluding fungi as they can't compete for the food. So you're just increasing your population of bacteria, and they're much better at accessing sugars. Is that this little guy, maybe? Just got stuck there. Maybe that is it. Just right in the middle. Well, it's definitely a flagellate, this guy. Oh yeah, here we go. This looks to me like... Ooh, I think they're ciliates. It's really difficult to tell when they're so small, to actually see, like, they're smaller than some of these bacteria, and there's loads of them. Now I'm just realizing there's actually a lot of them. I just saw another one zoom by. So if they're ciliates, it's not a good thing because they love anaerobic conditions. And all ciliates are unicellular organisms that have little protrusions around their bodies to help them propel. And they usually zoom really quickly, whereas the flagellates, which just have one or a couple more flagella, that propels them. They prefer aerobic conditions, so and they sort of bumble around more than zoom. Oop, what have we got here? That's a ciliate, I would say. Wow, there's so much life in here. The sugar has definitely fed bacteria enough to allow growth of these predators, which is good in the sense that they're releasing some nutrients, provided that the conditions are aerobic. They're so cute. Well, I did get to see some life, which is good. It's always good to see some life. Definitely hearing some life. Here we have a flagellate stuck on some debris. So we have, I have a feeling it's a flagellate. Yes, it's got a flagellum, so that's a good sign. You can see it weaving there. It's got bacteria inside of it which it has consumed. The flagellum has stopped moving. So that's a good sign. Of course, it would mean counting how many there are per field of view, which I haven't really done yet, so I'm just gonna leave it as just initial examination. This sample was taken in relatively healthy looking, I suppose, patch near a tree and also near some moss as well. So yeah, usually they're much more mobile, so I guess this sample once again, ooh, got another, possibly a ciliate under there. Just was kind of circling around. Could have also been is a bacterium, possibly. Very tiny. But was definitely moving. So this is good to see. There's all these little bacteria bumbling around there as well. You can see it's got this propeller at the front of itself, which is a flagellum. I'm magnifying here at 400 times. Yep, there she is. How cute. There you are. They often get like debris and bacteria stuck to their flagellum and they get really annoyed, and they just if a unicellular organism can get annoyed, but yeah, they just spiral and go nuts oftentimes. So I think it's got two flagella actually. One is whipping in front of it, the other one's got a debris or a bacterium stuck to it, and it can't really move anywhere as a result. And it will just do that until it gets itself detached. And it can move again. Oh, how cute are you? So, little cutie pie. They're a good sign, indication of aerobic conditions in the soil, which is what we want. And yeah, once again, these guys feed mainly on bacteria. And So they're predatory and they will release all those nutrients from the bacteria into soil, feeding plants. So we have this, oh, how cute are you, spiraling like that. Oh, yay. And then we've got this other organism here, which I think it's a testate amoeba. I'm not 100% sure, but I've never seen it lying in this position where its sort of mouth parts are exposed. So you could imagine that bacteria would be swallowed through that hole. So it's a predator of bacteria usually. And they produce like a little test, which is like a shell around itself. And it just hides in there and then just pulls bacteria in. Yeah, so testate amoeba. I'm not sure if this is actually an example of it, but if I find another one from a different angle, I shall share that as well. So very interesting stuff in here. Okay, so I did find another testate amoeba from a different sort of position. It's a very pretty one. You can really see sort of its detail. And so you can see this where I thought the hole was in the other example. So the sort of edge part of it, not the rounded edge, but the sharper edge. So yeah, it's basically definitely testate amoeba. I'm just focusing it out so we can get a depth of view across it. And the organism sort of sits behind this little plug that it creates. And then when it's hungry, it comes out. I'm not sure exactly how it feeds, whether it's got little cilia or tentacles sort of to filter the bacteria in on how it really works. But yeah, so basically it's a unicellular organism that is an animal, but it's just one cell. And it's a protozoan, so it fits into the protozoa kingdom. And yes, so there it is. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have another testate amoeba in here as well, in the same sample. Look at that serrated edge. Looks like a little egg cracked up the top. There on the right. And I just saw earlier as well, I'm not sure if it's the same one we saw earlier, but once again, I think it is a testate amoeba. It's a different one. It was positioned differently earlier. See the little hole in there? It's cute. Little bum hole. It's actually the mouth. I think. Anyway. Okay, we have a nematode, which is an excellent sign. And also saw a flagellate earlier as well. So depending of course on the numbers in the sample, but at least we've got some life happening, which is awesome. Likely to be a bacterial feeding nematode. Just trying to get some visuals on this guy. So this soil was near a nice tree, very dry, and yet life is present, and already in a bag stuck for a good few days. Surprisingly still life present here, which is great. Beautiful organism. Just taking another extra video of it. What a beautiful shape it's displaying. Such a beautiful creature. I'd like to say it's a bacterial feeding nematode. Might enlarge it a little bit just to see if we can get a closer look at its morphology here. Not really sure actually. Isn't he beautiful? What a wonderful organism to be making acquaintance with. It's just so surprising, such dry soil and such drought, and yet these organisms are present. It boggles the mind how everything's able to live in this stressed environment and just manages to live and survive and thrive in a way, sometimes even. And just play around with the focus so we can get a better view of this little guy. Gorgeous. If you look at the little bacteria popping around, wobbling there with some Brownian motion, you can count how big this nematode is. So we have 400 times magnification, and each of these little bumbly round bacteria are 1 micrometer in diameter, so you can sort of visualize how many micrometers he is across. 1, 2, 3, probably 6, maybe 5, 6, I'd like to say, but I might be wrong. Just trying to focus on the bacteria. Here we go. So 1, probably much more than that, 6 to 7 maybe. So he's a cutie pie. What a find. Fabulous. I should probably also say why it is important to have nematodes in the soil here, or any soil, is because they feed on the lower life forms. Lower meaning more simple life forms that are really rich in nutrients. So if this is a bacterial eating nematode, it will consume the bacteria, which are really high in nitrogen and other nutrients, way higher than the nematode needs to be. So any excess it will excrete, and when those excess nutrients are found around roots, they are then delivered to the roots, or the roots actually are able to take them in the bioavailable form. So it's really good and essential actually to have these predators. Of course, this means you must have enough bacterial numbers for these organisms, higher organisms, to be able to feed on them. So it is important to have bacteria, but also you want a balance of each of those. If there's a good balance between all of them, it signifies health, and when there's an imbalance, obviously that means that there's something wrong and it needs to be corrected, which is possible to do by recreating the potential for these organisms to exist in the soil. So, yeah, cool bananas, or I should say cool nematodes. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to show is the presence of these hyphae of fungi. This is the way that fungi grow in soil and on other substrates. And you can see the little septa, so like these little divisions that the hypha has here. And what we need to do is find out whether they occur at regular intervals, and also the brown color of the fungi suggests that it's laying down some good carbon, and so that it's a beneficial fungi. Also the width of it as well. So once again, if we look at a little bacterium, tiny little bacteria here on the side, let's just see this little thing moving there. Let me just focus a little bit more here. So once again, we can compare the size of this 1 micrometer bacteria. They're called the cocci or cocci because they are round. And we can see that maybe 3 or 4 can fit across that hypha. Just as I zoom in and out, you can kind of just imagine that 4 of those tiny dots will fit across. So that's your diameter of the fungi, and if they're above 3 micrometers in width, we can consider them to be a good type of fungi in our soil. Of course, there's other ones that are not so good as well and could be pathogenic, so we're really looking for this nice amount and nice ratio, depending on the habitat, of fungi to bacteria. Nice ratio of a biomass, so it's got to be you've got to count them and convert it into biomass of fungi as compared to bacteria, and then you can sort of have an idea of what your soil contains. And of course, because these are the decomposers, bacteria and fungi, everything else then sort of feeds upon them as well and cycles nutrients. So we need the predators of fungi and bacteria as well in the soil. Okay, cool. We've got a microarthropod, which is a very exciting thing to see. They play an important part as predators, so higher predators. So very cute. This is magnified at 400 times, plus some magnification on my phone as well. Beautiful creature. Doesn't move, it's not moving, so probably dead. But it's good to see that it exists in the soil. It would be great to find out what it actually is. It's beautiful.